All right, with all of the craziness taking place in our country, and we've talked about some of it here today, and we got more to come, maybe it's time we recenter on True North by being reminded of our heritage. And we're actually finding a number of elected leaders doing just that, bringing our attention back to our history, our heritage, and what made us at one point a great nation. Well, this week, to celebrate the rich cultural legacy of the Christian faith, the state of Mississippi will celebrate Christian Heritage Week, September the 24th through the 30th, to recognize Christianity's influence on their state and our nation. Joining me now to discuss this is the governor of Mississippi, Tate Reeves. Governor, welcome back to the program.
Good afternoon, Tony. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. So this will be Mississippi's 29th Christian Heritage Week. Tell us why you believe this is important for the citizens of Mississippi to recognize our Christian heritage.
Well, I think it speaks to exactly what you talked about in the lead up to this conversation, and that is the fact that it is our Christian heritage. It is the principles upon which our country was founded is what has made our country the greatest nation in the history of mankind. And certainly those of us in Mississippi are proud of our Christian heritage. We believe in our heart that is what has made our state the wonderful place it is to invest capital, to create jobs, and to raise a family. It's really those Christian values. And to be honest with you, when you think about all the craziness that's happening in the world today, I think we need more elected leaders that are willing to stand up and not only proclaim that we're celebrating Christian Heritage Week, but talk a little bit about what that means and talk about what our Christian faith means to us as elected leaders and how we ultimately get to the decision-making process based upon our Christian values.
I could not agree with you more, Governor. I think you've done that quite well. You've done it on this program many times. It's also been evident in your policies that you've put forth in the state of Mississippi. Your declaration of Christian Heritage Week specifically honors many of the founding fathers for their Christian faith. Now, the left wants to ignore or forget the faith of those who came before us. But, these are the ones who built this country, all right? And they crafted what has become the longest running written constitution agreement on the earth. And so we ought to listen to them. They may know something about how we can repair this thing and keep it going.
Well, there's no question about that. When you look at what was written in the Declaration of Independence, you look at what was written in our United States Constitution, and it is very clear that way back 250 years ago, there was a concerted effort to recognize that the Christian values upon which this country was founded upon those values for a reason. Because if we're going to celebrate Christ and celebrate our faith and import it in the way in which we not only live our lives, but the way in which we govern ourselves, it's critical to a long-standing opportunity for success as a nation. And they believe that. They wrote it in those documents. And there are those on the left now that, as you just mentioned, that not only do they want to forget that it ever happened, they want to pretend like it didn't happen. And that's just and it's not the right direction for the country. It's certainly not what the vast majority of Mississippians believe, and because of that, we're standing up and we're going to say, hey, you can do whatever you want to do in California or New York, but in Mississippi, we're not only going to proclaim Christian Heritage Week, we're going to celebrate it, and we're going to talk about these things that we believe and the reason we think we have the opportunity to live in the greatest state and the greatest nation in the history of mankind.
I think it's
and that
great.
reason is because of the values upon which the country was founded, and we still celebrate here.
I think it's great. I know that the heads on the left are exploding. But how would you like to see the citizens of Mississippi recognize this week?
Well, look, what I believe needs to happen is that we, as followers of Christ, need to continue to spread the message and to try to save those who are unsaved, that we should talk about the blessings of eternal life and what that faith means to us, and how our belief system and our values are based upon the writings in the Bible. And not only should we live our life that way every single day, we shouldn't just do it, by the way, next week during Christian Heritage Week. We should do it every single week. And I tell folks all the time that it is so important that we recognize that we live our life based upon the principles that we learn about in the Bible, and that we work to spread that message across certainly our state and our nation, but across the globe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Governor, I want to thank you for issuing this proclamation, but I want to thank you for not just this one proclamation, but for you doing exactly what you just described here in your policies, in your practices there in the state of Mississippi. Always great to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Y'all have a great afternoon and evening, Tony. Always good to be on. It's great to have you as a friend.